Hey guys, how's the volume? Is it okay? Is it good? Hey guys, how's... Let's see if I can adjust myself here. So it's good. So let's go ahead and start on the macro view, like we always like to do, and work our way inward. So here's our friendly parabolic curve, and you know, we see obviously we broke north of it, we broke south of it. Here's our linear trend, this purple bro. All's well and good. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Oh, where'd my fib lines go? The hell? Oh no. I must have accidentally deleted them. Okay, we'll make new ones. Okay. So here are some fib lines. Let's draw a new set here. There. God damn it. Let's draw fib lines from here to here. All right. Let's color these things blue. So I like to do my macro fibs blue. It's purple. Actually, it's more like magenta, but who's paying attention? Okay, cool. So here are macro fibs. And we see we blew right through this 50, right? I think last time we did the stream, we were like somewhere around here. Like we had just broken out of this consolidation period around the 200 MA, and we were working our way up. And if you recall correctly, I mentioned that there's going to be a turbulent price level right in here near the bottom of the previous trading range. So right at the hell? Oh, that's white. Right in here. Right, and I mentioned this, you know, this whole band of price activity would be quite turbulent, and so far it has been. Definitely was not anticipating breaking straight through this this 50 EMA. So this is the blue this is the 50 EMA, and this is the 200 EMA. We see volume actually looks pretty good. It's remained flat. It doesn't look as bull trappy as, you know, this did, where it you know, the volume tapered as the price went up. So we're not seeing that, so that's good for the bullish case. And the fact that we didn't completely reject this price level is also pretty bullish. And right now we're above the 50 EMA, the 50 EMA. So it's also bullish. So we see a lot of bullish things on the macro trend. As we start to zoom in, we see other indications of bullishness on the 12-hour, for example. Oops, on the 12-hour, we see you know, we're finding support on top of the 200 EMA. It's tested it once and it bounced right above it. As we look closer, the 6-hour starts to see some love on the EMA. It's found support on the 200 as well. And let me go ahead and take these off because I want to talk about, if you read my Bitcoin magazine article, I talked about this potential trading range in here. So I think, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, so last time we streamed, we talked about this descending channel right here. So this guy right here and here. And you see it's moving downward like so. And it's just painted this whole downward path, right? And I said, it's totally possible that we break out like this and pull back in. We'll have to pay attention to, you know, volume. Like here, for example, as we broke out, we saw volume is actually going down. So this was an indication that this was a bull trap. But we're not seeing that here, actually. We're not seeing decreasing volume. We're seeing steady, nice, solid volume ever since we broke north of our channel here. So this looks pretty bullish at the moment on the macro scale. but I'm not full-blown bull yet. I have some bearish reservations, and I want to talk about those first. One of which is, as we look closer, we see this ascending wedge, which can be drawn a couple of different ways. You know, we could draw it like this, for example. It's this dark guy, and there are a couple of different trend lines here that we can draw, but just to catch you guys up to speed with what I'm looking at here. So this dashed line is just, it's the lower boundary of the previous trading range, the distribution trading range that we broke out of. So that's what this red dashed line is, and we see various fib levels in here, and you know, here's the macro fib here. But one thing that I've been keeping track of is this potential trading range right here, and this is where my skeptical bearish reservations lie. So we see that, we see that there's this ascending wedge sort of dealio here. It's not on consolidating volume, so that's good for the bullish case. Typically, when you see a rising wedge, you know, the price is ping-ponging up, but then prices or volumes going down. That indicates consolidation, sort of like a bear flag, but it's just like a different form of it. So we don't see that, so that's good, right? But what we do see is this massive sell volume that is out of nowhere picked up. So what the hell is that doing, right? Okay, so here's one thing that's got me skeptically bearish. This dramatic increase in sell volume. And as we look closer on the 30-minute, we see a pretty well-defined trading range here. So let me turn on my other mode. We'll move you up. Okay, so we see a pretty well-defined trading range here. So again, I'll go ahead and annotate this real quick. So this is previous trading range, the previous distribution trading range. That's this guy. This is the rising wedge, and then here I could probably label this a little better. Should I do what color should I do? Red or orange? This guy right here, this is the trading range that I'm looking at. Potential trading range, I should say, that I'm looking at. Which is this guy right here. Okay. One thing that has me slightly concerned is the fact that we just broke below the rising wedge, and we're finding resistance on it at the moment. The other thing is that for those who read my Bitcoin Magazine article, I talked about, I wrote it when the price was right here, so we hadn't broken north yet. And one thing that I mentioned was that we could break north, and if we come up and retrace and find support here, this would be a very bullish case. However, if we break back inside the trading range, this has the potential to be very bearish, because that indicates that this is actually redistribution. Okay, so this is distribution on the 30-minute time scale. But let me reiterate that it's potential distribution. We're still playing it by ear, you know. Nothing to immediately freak out about, but this is slightly concerning. And the fact that we did break back into the trading range is also slightly concerning. And I want to show you guys some historic examples of when this broke back into where there's that series of articles that I always reference, the Bruce Fraser Wyckoff series is really great. It talks about the market cycles, and I'm going to show you an example that matches this really well, where you know, we see the price overthrow from a channel. So we would call this the supply line up here, supply. We would call this lower guy the demand line. And when you break below the demand line, that's not very good, because that shows that CO sponsorship, composite operators are starting to unload their bags. So here are the various levels of the trading range, by the way. Here's 1, 2, 3 levels of the trading range. So let's go ahead and look at some historic examples that match this, and we can discuss whether or not these are valid or not. So within the context of the move since 6K, here's where the trading range lies. So here's the bottom at 6K. It rallied very strongly, and now it's seeing a potential distribution as it pulled back inside the trading range. So let me see if I can find those historic examples. Is it this one? Oh no, I put it on my Twitter, didn't I? Let me pull that up real quick. So also on a macro level, this is very interesting too. On a macro level, check this out. Okay, so we've got this. This is a very common way that markets break down when there's extreme parabolic growth. They break down, and then there's this giant bear trap and all that shit. It matches really well with our current market here on a macro level. I need to update this because we've actually made some new highs here, so we would actually have price ranging up in here now. But for the most part, it matches this hypodermic breakdown really well. Like it's eerily well, actually. So we see these points here, boom, 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 and it breaks north, the hypodermic trend line. Same thing here. So we see boom, 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 it breaks north. We see the hypodermic trend line, and it breaks down. And one of the features of this breakdown is that the market comes back down and it retests this is a distribution trading range here. So it comes back and it retests it at this level, and then it continues, it resumes the downtrend. So I'm kind of worried that we might be doing this sort of thing where we come up and we retest the trading range. I'm open to that not being the case. But it's definitely an option. And there's also a possibility that our current 30-minute trading range, let me find this example here of this guy, of this 30-minute trading range that we might be falling into. Because there's a great example that matches it really well. Give me 1 second, I'll find it. Here we go. So it's right here. Let me put this on top of the chart. Let's see if we can do that. So get out of here, ad. We'll get cute with our inlay here. Something like that. So we have a potential for it to look something like this, right? So we see the demand line here, boom, which would be, in our case, would be this guy. And we see a preliminary supply, something like this. We see a buying climax and automatic reaction, which is this guy here, where it returns back to the, the demand zone. And it breaks north of the buying climax, where the secondary test and an up thrust, which is what we're seeing here. And then ultimately, it breaks down. Sign of weakness would be, the bottom of the trading range. So we would look for a sign of weakness down here, possibly a rally for a last point of supply, and then a continuation. So this is all like doomsday, worst case scenario sort of thing. So I just want to let you guys know about it. That if we do come down and we retest this level, this could be a potential sign of weakness, something like this, where we would come down, possibly puncture the trading range, come back up, form a last point of supply, and then resume the macro downtrend. So that is the bearish case. There is a very strong argument for a bullish case. I think honestly, it's the stronger argument is the bullish case. But you know, I obviously want to remain objective with this outlook on the market. But I'm currently rebuilding my portfolio. I'm seeing what coins are performing now that we're starting to rally again, and I'm moving forward, assuming that that the bear market is not going to resume. But if it starts to show signs that it's going to resume, then I'll act accordingly. But I'm keeping an eye out for price levels down here, seeing how the market reacts. If it rallies up and fails to make a break of the trading range, then I'll be exiting my portfolio when the market bounces up here, and then move accordingly. But right now I'm I'm in bull mode at the moment. So haven't we just broken under the ascending wedge? Yes, we broke under the ascending wedge right here. But just because you break an ascending wedge, it doesn't mean that it's going to break down. Like, we broke an ascending wedge here, that didn't really mean anything. This is on very high volume here, so this is concerning, because this could be the beginning of a bearish continuation. And if this is a rising wedge, then we have a pretty strong price target, $1,500 drop from the bottom. So if this continues down, we'd see, the mid 9,000s again. I see a bear pennant on the 15-minute. I honestly haven't looked at these lower time frames yet. Yeah, it is starting to look like a bear pennant, isn't it? So 15-minute, the Bollinger Bands are squeezing nicely. We see volume consolidation. Yeah, this does look like a bear pennant for sure. So we see price consolidation. This looks like a nice bear pennant too. So you see price consolidation, B bands are consolidating, volumes consolidating. This looks like a bear pennant with a, what is it, like a $1,000 pull or something? A $900 pull. So if this breaks down, where would that be? That would be it. So isn't that cute? So if this thing breaks down, if this bear pennant breaks down, it'll have us testing the lower boundary of the trading range, right where the automatic reaction price level is. So this thing has a price target. If this pennant breaks down, as a price target down here, right around the 10K, the low 10Ks. So we could see that, and that would be a very strong, a very major sign of weakness if we do just plummet straight down here. So keep an eye out for that. It'll probably happen by the time we end the stream, or before we end the stream, that this thing will end up consolidating and breaking down, given how fast this volume is consolidating. I'm not willing to put my bear cap back on yet. I want to see how this bear pennant breaks down and how it comes and tests this lower boundary. This definitely looks bearish in the immediate term, but given the amount of volume on the macro basis, it still looks pretty bullish. So this thing could break down and test and then rally. Like, that's totally possible. Something like this. How this came down, formed a bear pennant, failed to meet its destination, and then rallied, right? So we could see that. We just gotta pay attention to this guy. And right now, all the markets have their eyes on what Bitcoin's doing, because everything just stopped dead in its tracks as soon as the price started dropping down. If candle closes around 11.2, don't we have a W bottom reversal? If price closes around 11.2, don't we have a W? Yes, yeah, for sure. But it doesn't look like it's doing that, so. Like, you see a very clear bearish pennant outline here. This doesn't look like a W bottom. This looks more like a pennant. At the moment, like, of course it could always change, but. Thoughts on how longs are increasing on Bitfinex? Are they? I thought longs were going down, the shorts are going up. I thought that was the last. Yeah, look at that. It's making like this little bull pennant. Yeah, this is interesting. Longs are going up as the price is going down. Very interesting. What do the shorts look like? This must have changed since I last saw it because they were going down. Shorts are going up too. What is it? 17.6. It's still way more longs than shorts. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I mean, I'm buying this dip. I'm buying this dip. I don't anticipate it breaking straight through the trading range, even if it does complete a bear pennant and break down. So until it breaks this, you know, I'm agnostic at the moment. Like I said, I'm mostly looking for a test of this lower trading range. From there, I'll assess the market and plan accordingly. But at the moment, we're sitting above this major resistance line. This could prove just to be another test of the resistance line and come back up. You know, there are a lot of different ways to read this. It's also entirely possible that this isn't a trading range at all. You know, we don't know it's a trading range until it comes down here and pings off. This is, like I said, this is a potential trading range. Right now, we've only got 3 points of interest, and now, well, I guess 4. And until it comes down and tests this area again, which it should be noted, this is macro support. This is the macro 50. There's a lot of strong support down here, so it's totally possible that this could end up being a retest of the macro 50 before a bullish continuation. So, you know, don't be overly committed to your positions here, guys. Like, you got to be quick on your feet because this could turn bearish very quickly, or it could just end up being a non-event. You know, don't be too married to your positions. Is that a 12-hour M top? Yeah. So that's another bearish case here too. Is that on the 12-hour there is a potential B bands double top forming. So this is one that we've been eyeballing in my trading group for a while. Ever since it broke this new high. I've been keeping an eye on this too because there's a tweezer top on the 12-hour, and there's an M top, which is this guy right here. So M top, see how it makes a new high out of the Bollinger Bands, an absolute high, but it's inside the Bollinger Bands, and they're rounding. So this is a great setup for an M top. In this case, the M top first price target would be the midline of this Bollinger Band, so it would be about 10K. 10K, and the second price target would be the lower Bollinger Band, which by the time it reached it, you know, it'd be around here somewhere, like low 8Ks, low 8K. If this thing squiggles its way back up or something. So yeah, there is a potential M top on the 12-hour. With a pretty mean price target. So 10K would be what? Isn't that the lower boundary of the trading range? 10K is, yes. So this is basically the 12-hour midline of the Bollinger Bands. If you look at the 12-hour, it's the bottom of the trading range. If the trading range is respected, okay, this is a good question. If the trading range is if the trading range is respected long enough, would the sideways-ish action be enough for alts to rally? Yeah, for sure. I mean, alts only rally when Bitcoin is going sideways. Alts don't rally when Bitcoin's going up, and alts don't rally when Bitcoin's going down. Bitcoin movement is, for the most part, is bearish because they get drained from the alt ratios. 10K is outside of the outlined trading range. Would be bearish. Would it be bearish if it tagged 10K but still closed inside the trading range? I don't anticipate it breaking straight through the trading range and going down. I mean, it's totally possible, of course. You know, everything is possible, but I don't anticipate it going straight through here. Like, there's a lot of support here. This is again, this is the macro 50%. Like, this is the macro of the entire bull run. Like, this is a very strong price level. So I don't anticipate it going down. What I do anticipate, even in a bearish or bullish case, is that it comes down, maybe wicks through here, so it comes back and rallies back to the top of the trading range or somewhere around the 78% level, you know, around the 11Ks. Rallies up here, and from here, you know, this could become a last point of supply, which, if that's the case, that would be super fucking bearish, and then we'd see the continuation. But like I said, it could puncture, come back through, and rally. Like, this could ultimately end up being nothing more than a retest of the 50%. There's a lot going on here with very, very wildly different implications. So this is something to keep an eye on. You know, I know I'll be up late keeping an eye on it, for sure, because there's going to be a good trading action, you know, good price action either way. And this thing is just squeezing really nicely on the 15-minute candles. That is interesting that as this is making a bear pennant, longs are going up. I'm not sure what to make of that at the moment. But it's interesting because like, this is, I mean, if we're looking at this on the 60-minute, even since it bottomed out, like, this is a stupid amount of sell volume, like a lot. This isn't just like some rich asshole like messing with the market. Like, this is a lot of fucking volume. And the price didn't move. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there's a lot of buying going on in there, even though these candles are red. Right? So if we look at something with an equivalent price spread, let's do like a thought experiment real quick. So if we take this biggest candle here, right, which actually has the lowest volume out of these three raging boners here. So if we look at something like this one has the largest price spread. Okay, well, yeah, this is a great example here. Okay, so here's the 60-minute trend, right? So we see here, this is great. I love this stuff. So we see here that this widest body candle has the lowest volume, right? So this is this, right? This guy is obviously, so we'll call these 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The candle that has the widest spread has the least amount of volume. So 1 has the least. So 1 equals least volume, but widest spread. And let's say 2/3 equals, I spelled volume wrong, Jesus. Most volume, narrow spread. So what does that tell you? That means that once it cracked this price level right here, you know, somewhere in here, a lot of buys started picking up, like a lot, because we see that like it wicked very far, like a lot of wick, and the volume is picking up. So although the sells were panicking, like you can see the sells panicking, the overall volume is very high because there is almost an equal amount of buys going on in there. And we can see it here too. Like if we go to like the lower time frames, we see here like there are a lot of buys going on in here, and there are a handful of massive sells. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of buying going on. So that's, you know, there's no capitulation going on here. There's a lot of people trying to, you know, quote unquote buy the dip, and you know, so that could be interpreted bullishly. So overall volume is high and the price went down, but it didn't go down that far compared to, for example, here, right? Like we see a very widespread, very high volume. Here we don't see a very widespread, but we see very high volume. So this is an example of something that, like, even though it looks bearish on face value, could be interpreted bullishly. Smitty, were you feeling bullish before today? I've been slowly leaning bullish for the past few days. Ever since I saw this trading range break out, and when it retested, to be honest with you, I guess this was yesterday, wasn't it? When the market broke out of this trading range, it tested it again, and it bounced off. That had me pretty bullish, because that shows a rejection of the trading range. But it should be noted that this has happened before. If we look at the prior distribution trading range, that happened here as well, right? This looks very similar. So we see the buying climax, we see the secondary test. So the price broke out here, it retested the trading range, it broke north, it broke back in, it made a bear pennant, and it broke south all the way down to the bottom of the trading range. Well, that's what we're doing right now, but just on a smaller time scale. So let's repeat that again. So there's a breakout. So breakout, a retest, a pump, a break back in to the trading range, and a bear pennant. Okay, so when we look here, we see just like the other time, it's like almost, the price action is very similar actually. So we see it broke out, it made a new high, it rallied down, and we see a bear pennant. And if it repeats the exact same trading range structure it did before, we should see a test of the lower boundary of the trading range. It's actually really, I noted the similarities between this and the prior trading range before, but it's like it's even more apparent. Like, let's go ahead and clip this real quick, and we'll compare it. Okay, so that's that guy. Move you over here. Okay, let's go ahead and resize this then. So here's the prior trading range in the top left corner. That's this guy. Here's our current trading range. So we see the buying climax. Boom. Boom. So BC. We see the automatic reaction here. AR. We see a flat test of the upper boundary right here. A little bit of a pullback right here. We see a breakout here. We see a retest here. We see a rally. We see a feeble break to a new high here, just like it did here and here. And then this shot back down, made a bear pennant, and had a very strong sell-off. And right now, we're in the process of doing this thing right here. So if history repeats itself, we should see some pretty strong selling coming our way. And this thing broke well below the automatic reaction too. So we could see lows going down and retesting the supply, the macro channel here. Like we could see this thing breaking down and retesting this, follow this red dotted line here. We could see this thing breaking down and retesting here and finding support here. Like that would match the structure of this guy. Right, so see how it broke down below the automatic reaction? So here's the AR. Here's the AR. If this breaks down and finds support here, this would match this sort of guy very well, how it broke below the automatic reaction level here. So, man. And it looks like it's already starting to break down, doesn't it? Didn't consolidate very long. I expected that to consolidate longer. You know, it only made 2 tests on the bottom. Maybe this will wick out and come back up. But it looks like sells are picking up already. Yeah, just made a new low here. Yeah, look at that. Looks like it's about to make a new low. So if that happens, it's gonna we're probably gonna see some a nice round of intense selling here. BitMEX tweets started, long squeeze incoming. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. This looks like it wants to break down. Another possibility too is no, never mind. Yeah, this will be interesting. Let's just watch and see what happens here. Oh, long is getting liquidated, he means. Oh, okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. So volume's picking up here. But it's encountering some buys. Like, it's not a lot of price spread. So someone's selling into some buy walls, it looks like. Interesting. So maybe this will end up making a larger pennant, unless we see some aggressive selling pick up like this. Like so we see some buys picking up. I would expect this to make a larger pennant than what it is right now. So something like, you know, that consolidates to like this period right here. Something later on in the night that breaks. And you can see buys already coming in. Like people aren't capitulating yet, so that makes sense. Yeah, it looks like it's wicking past it at the moment. Yeah, some big buys are coming in. Yeah. This is most likely just going to make a larger pennant. What does a 30-minute look like? 30-minute, not rounding out yet. Oh, more selling. Who's going to win? Looks like the Bears are winning. I'm surprised that broke down as fast. I totally would have expected that to, like I said, consolidate a little bit longer. You know, it only had 2 touches on the bottom. Got to open up another kombucha for this one. Okay, wicking back up again. That would be really aggressive if this actually did break down and make a new low and all that. I think it needs to consolidate longer if it wants to see a touch at the lower boundary of the trading range. Do you find it bullish that the longs are still holding steady during this turmoil? Yeah, that is pretty bullish. I don't know if it's bullish, but it definitely shows that people aren't, you know, they aren't being shaken from their positions. Bullish would be if they're buying, you know, which it looks like there is some buying going on here, right? Like, it's kind of just sitting at this level here. Maybe there's a buy wall there or something. But, let's see. I hate looking at the 1-minute charts. It's like borderline useless. But for the sake of this discussion, we should look at it a little bit just to see what's, you know, the weight of the buys and the sells. Maybe this will end up being a descending triangle instead of a pennant. You know, something like this. You know, like that sort of dealio. If this doesn't break below it, it might just form a triangle instead. But there is a you know, a significant level of support here. So there is going to be some buyer confidence here. It's sitting right at the 78% retracement, 78% retracement of this bear run. So if you look at the Fibonacci, get out of here. No, don't merge. Actually, I don't mind that indicator down there. So if you look at like the whole bear run here, like from here to here, we're sitting right at the 78% line. So you know, there is a level of support there. There's also a level of support from the previous distribution trading range bottom, like I said before. So you know, but you know, as expected, this was going to be a turbulent part of the market. Looks like it's finding a nice home on the 78% line, and it's bouncing upward a little bit. So looks like the bulls are winning at the moment. So yay for bulls. Finally, someone doing some quality TA. Thanks. New sub. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. All the new subs I can get help reach a wider audience. We're now sitting at, you know, triple-digit concurrent viewers. So a few weeks ago that wasn't the case, and it's been like that for the past few streams. So maybe I'm doing a better job explaining myself, or maybe there's just more people watching or something. But yeah, there's definitely more concurrent viewers, and I think it has to do with the people that, you know, liking the videos, sharing the videos, and stuff like that. So every subscription and all that stuff does help, believe it or not. So this is sometimes a good time to look at my chop trading setup. We see some heavy divergence on the MACD. So yeah, some pretty significant divergence here. So, oops. We're on the MACD, and we see that the oscillator is kind of flatlining / pointing up, even though the closes are getting lower and lower. This is bullish divergence, so it shows that the momentum is actually dying down a little bit here. And if you look at the 5-minute, it's a little bit more blatant. So we see it here on the 5-minute. We're basically at the same level of price, yet it's moving upwards. So this could be a nice short-term long entry. You know, if you're into playing low time frames. But it does look like the bearish pressure is getting exhausted here. If it would have consolidated longer, it would have had a better chance of continuing downward, but it broke out too early. Someone blew their wad too early, so. Doesn't that divergence always happen with consolidation? Yeah, if it consolidates, but it didn't consolidate. If it went sideways longer and we saw the oscillator return to the neutral point, then it would have been consolidated. But let's see if I can find an example here. Like this, for example. In this sideways market, like this is garbage to trade in right here. Like you would never want to use a momentum indicator in here. But you know, it's not really consolidating that long, so I think it's okay to use. Oh, look at that, we made a new low. I stand corrected. Let's see if volume follows through with it. So I poked a new low on okay volume. Nothing crazy at the moment. Maybe we'll see. Yeah. Oh yeah, there are the cells. There are the cells. Okay, so I guess I picked a good time to start streaming. So I broke out of this bear pennant. So we should see some pickup in sell volume here then. I would fully expect to see a test of this lower trading range, and if it repeats the previous trading range's price activity, you know, we'd see a breach of this and a push, well below down here. So so it broke through the 78, it broke through this trading range level. Next line of support it has to test is this distribution bottom. So again, that's this point right here. Actually, that should be moved up, shouldn't it? It's more like right there. That's weird, it's like offset. Anyway, the next point of support it has to test is the bottom of this the bottom of the previous trading range, this red dashed line. So if it punctures that, that's pretty bearish. Let's see if it gets follow through though. Yep, look at that. It's picking up. Some nice sells. And it looks like individual sells too. That's the funny thing. It's like big individual orders coming through. Probably liquidating people. This is a logical, if you went long, a logical stop would be right below the previous low. So a puncture below it is going to liquidate people's positions. So that makes sense. See it have strong follow through initially. Bollinger Bands on the 15-minute are starting to expand again. So we saw a really nice squeeze here and here. And that indicates the price is consolidated. And now it's ready to move down. So how does the 30-minute? 30 minutes still expanding. 5-minute expanding, of course. 15-minute. We're seeing some buys, but they're lackluster at best. Not really doing a whole lot to move the price, are they? Would Litecoin follow the same pattern? Every coin's going to follow the same pattern. If Bitcoin goes down, they all go down. Bruh. It's just the name of the game. One hour looks horrible, like the 17K to 6K. So it looks like it's finding a little bit of support here, but it also did break. So a typical sort of activity that happens with the Bollinger Bands, for those who aren't familiar with the Bollinger Bands, is even if there is a bearish move downward, a lot of times when it breaks outside the Bollinger Bands, it wants to pull back inside. So this can trap a lot of like bullish investors. If it pops below here, a lot of times it just goes kind of sideways, maybe slightly upward, and then it pulls down. It just has a tendency to want to remain inside the Bollinger Bands because everything outside the Bollinger Bands to the bottom is oversold, and everything on the outside the Bollinger Bands to the top is considered overbought. So be careful, going long on stuff like this because it could just be wanting to pull back inside the Bollinger Bands for a downward continuation. If Litecoin goes under 210, you better be prepared. What is Litecoin at right now? It's at 217. Okay. Man, I actually just bought Litecoin last night too. This is kind of annoying, but such is life, I guess. Bought Litecoin on the breakout of this pennant and it's already back below it. Definitely was not expecting this drop. We're on the 1 day 50 moving average, are we? Yeah, look at that. It's touching it right on there. So this is also another level of support. So if we break below this, again, another bearish move. Oh, the 1 day made a hammer. Look at that. I didn't, or a shooting star. I didn't even notice that. Did that just form? When did that close? That must have closed like a couple hours ago. Yeah, that's not good. That's a possible reversal candle right there, which is very similar to this bro right here. So we're sitting right on the 50 moving average, the daily 50 EMA. Yeah, so that daily just formed, or just closed a couple hours ago. Yeah, I think they closed at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that would have been 3 hours ago. Yo, that's not good. That ain't good for the Bulls, dog. And the 12-hour was a tweezer top too. Sitting right at the 6-hour midline too, of the B bands. A lot of stuff going on here. This is interesting. This is a good market to analyze from a TA perspective. So we're getting a little bit of buys here. Okay, a little bit of buys, but these seem to be waning. These are feeble buys. These aren't like bottom buys where people are buying the bottom. You know, this just, like I said before, it looks like it just wants to pull back inside the Bollinger Bands. And that's what it's doing on the 5. It just wants to pull back inside, and I bet we're going to see another bearish shove downward. But these 15-minute candles are increasing in volume on the way down, which typically indicates strength in the direction it's going, which happens to be down. So man, this doesn't look good. So right now we're breaking out of, let's go ahead and summarize everything that's going on here. So this doesn't look good. We're breaking out of a wedge. We broke down to the bottom of a wedge. We're doing it on, actually on decreasing volume. If we look at the 60-minute. Granted, this 60-minute just opened, so this is too early to call. But the last 1, 2, 3 candles have been decreasing, but that was during the consolidation period, wasn't it? Okay. So, yeah, we're breaking outside of this wedge here, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because we're blowing through support. And we're heading down toward our ultimate price target here of, what did I say? $1,500 ish. So This could be a very strong move downward. If this moves down, we could see prices down in the mid 9K. Oh, look at that. Would that be a perfect retest of this thing? Oh, that would. That would be like super fucking adorable if that happened. So if this thing, oh man, I bet that is what happens. So if this breaks down out of this, if this continues downward to its price target, which is 1.5K, then you know, we could see a retest of this guy, which is funny enough 1.5K away. So maybe we come down here and we bounce, or maybe we just puncture straight through it and go straight to hell or whatever. But this looks really bearish at the moment. So it's finding support here though. Right on the bottom of the previous trading range. Let's see if it punctures through it. And it looks like it wants to. Looks like it wants to go straight through it. How is BCH? If you're asking how BCH is, you're doing it wrong, my guy. You need to be watching Bitcoin right now. If Bitcoin's going down, everything goes down, including BCH. I mean, look at it. It's going down. It's going down just like Bitcoin is. Everything is. Everything is going down like Bitcoin is. Ether's going down. Litecoin's going down. Bitcoin's going down. Ether broke out of this massive head and shoulders here. It's, you know, doing a full retracement of its bounce. So, looking pretty bad all across the board. And we just broke through it. There we go. Broke right through it. Man, I wonder if this is actually going to be a distribution trading range. This is interesting. And it looks very much like that's what's happening. Yeah. What's going on with Ether lately? I literally just mentioned Ether. It's breaking down out of a head and shoulders. It's halfway through its price target. Right here. So head and shoulders. Its measured move is like 90 bucks, I think. 80 bucks. You could argue 80 bucks. And it's halfway to it. So it has a lot more left to drop. We're finding a bit of support here on, you know, this expected level of support. Makes sense. There's a lot of choppy activity going on here. Maybe this is the local bottom. Totally possible. Seen some buys pick up on the 1 minute. We're wicking on the 5 minute. Yeah, we see some buys picking up here, but nothing stellar, you know. Enough to provide temporary support on this trading range line. So we see some more sells picking up. Okay. All right, so this might be the temporary bottom here. Yeah, I told you I thought it needed a longer consolidation period. And a lot of times Bitcoin likes to do this sort of thing where it does a fake out. This is really common, and especially for bearish continuations, we see this where like it comes down, like right, it comes down. It does a temporary bounce into what looks like a pennant. It breaks down, and it just makes just a barely new low to squeeze out the long players that try to long down here. But ultimately, it'll end up making a larger consolidation pattern that will break down. And I suspect that might be what's going on here because we're seeing buys pick up. Yeah, I suspect that's what's actually going on here. Unless some dude just has like a death wish for Bitcoin and he's just like, fuck Bitcoin, I'm gonna short it, you know, and he's just like market sells a living shit out of it. I think this is ultimately gonna end up yielding a larger consolidation pattern on like the 30-minute maybe. If anything, you know, unless it bounces here, it could totally just bounce here. But you know, this is a really common thing that happens where it or it ends up doing something like this, you know. We see a very similar sort of pattern here where it ended up making this little inverted head and shoulders where it rallied. So so it's interesting. We ended up finding, we ultimately found support here for the time being. I shouldn't say ultimately. For the time being, we found support on the bottom of the previous trading range right here. So this is nice. Maybe give the bears and bulls some breathing room so they can size each other up and see what they want to do here. But it looks like it's going to end up making a larger consolidation pattern here. Longs are picking up even more. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, look at it. It's starting to pick up here. Yeah, we're already back to the previous low. It's getting rejected a little bit. So sells are picking back up here, right at the previous low. Just some people protecting their shorts. Let's see if any bulls want to step up and beat out these bears here. So Litecoin's finding a bit of support here. Ether finding a bit of support here. But so ultimately, I think Ether might be in a distribution trading range on a macro scale. So if we look at something like the 2 hour, this looks, why is that up there? This looks a bit distribution-y, with this being a sign of weakness here. It does look a bit distribution-y, if I do say so myself. Where this current pattern right here will be the last point of supply, which is, you know, this is a head and shoulders. Ultimate price target is going to be down here to test this support level. But sell volume looks pretty high, which is to be expected if Bitcoin's shitting. But this Ether does look like it's going through distribution here, so I'm currently not very bullish on Ether. And if we take a look at the ratio kind of looks like shit as well. You know, we see something you don't want to see if you're a bull. Price is going down, but volume's increasing. This is bearish. Attempt to draw a bear here. Looks more like a pig, doesn't it? That's a pig. This sort of price activity is piggish. Man, bear, pig. And it does look like it's kind of making like a little bear flag here too. This rally is on diminishing volume. And it's failing to do a full retrace, so I could see a bearish continuation of this downtrend here. Prices going down, but volume increasing. Doesn't it mean that buyers are coming in to stop them? Or that sells are increasing? So what's our old pal Bitcoin doing here? Finding a little bit of resistance on the previous low here, but overall moving up on okay volume. What parameters are you using on the Ichimoku cloud? Default. I don't do anything fancy with my Ichimoku stuffs. If there's a price trend with increase in volume, usually it assists that trend for a continuation. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the counterpoint to that is a trend on decreasing volume typically indicates that a reversal might be near. So if we look at the past, something like this, for example, just a quick TA tips with Bitcoin Schmitcoin. Oh shit. Here's a quickie. So you see here that God damn it. If I can just get a good view on this. So we see here that the trend is, this is that massive bear pennant that broke down before. So we see here that the trend is generally moving up, but volume is moving down. This indicates a pig flag, also known as a man bear pig flag, or a bear flag for the layman. Also, here's another example of that happening as well. Something like this. The counterpoint to that would be, as we see, let's see, on the 60-minute view, we see as the price goes down, we see volume growing, and as the volume grows, the price accelerates. So made a new low, boom, boom, boom. And then obviously we had this climactic end here before maybe a potential continuation. If this continues to break down, then maybe we'll see a continuation of that downtrend. Schmitty, why do all your pigs have lazy eyes? I'm sorry my pigs aren't up to your fucking standards, my guy. Are my pigs not pretty enough for you? I want it to drop. Let's go to 4K. Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice to be able to buy it much lower, obviously. Like, that'd be cool to buy everything a lot cheaper than that we're buying right now. Especially since I wasn't initially sold on this bounce. Like, I've been pretty bearish on this bounce from the get-go. And I waited until now to start constructing my portfolio. And of course, like, within days of me like starting to rebuild everything, it just like pulls back. And but you know, sometimes that happens. Pig needs lipstick. But this does kind of look like a little bear flag or a pig flag. So we see it pushing up, but the volume's going down. So this might be, again, another bear flag. Seems the COs are more patient than we are. I similarly started reconstruction yesterday. Yeah, isn't that a bitch? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Oh look, we broke above that resistance. So, okay, so maybe we'll see some buys pick it up here. It does kind of bum me out that that happened when I was like waiting to short Bitcoin for a while, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. You know, there are a lot of bullish arguments here, and maybe I'm just being stubborn. So I was like, okay, I'll start phasing into my portfolio reconstruction. And like, it just dumps. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of bullish on Litecoin. I'll start buying some Litecoin. Start buying some OMG. Start looking to maybe buy some Neo. But Big Daddy Bitcoin had other plans. So we're seeing some buys come in. That's good. And some sells. Someone's trying to top call this bounce. Let's see if the bulls want to push through this. This was a nice time to stream. Oh, not 115 minutes. What the fuck? So if this thing were, let's look at potential reversal patterns here. So on the 60-minute, we're forming this little hammer. Granted, it still has 30 minutes to go, so take that with a grain of salt. Settle down. But we're currently making a little hammer. Cute little hammer on decent volume. If we close this green, like close it here, that'd be a nice bullish case. Say if we close this actually green, a little green hammer with a long wick, that would be okay for the pigs out there. And but it looks like the sells are coming back in. Bears do not want this to climb back up at the moment. We capitulated in the wrong direction. Yeah, I capitulated my bearish sentiment. This is a nice little battle here. It's showing some strength for the bulls. I do imagine, so here's one thing to keep in mind too, is if we climb a little bit higher, we're going to see some short covering take place, which will likely push this a bit higher. So, you know, if we climb into like this region right here, we're going to see a nice propulsion of short covering. So we'll see some market buys come upward. So if we do start to climb a little bit more, we'll see this like V-shaped volume profile where it like goes down, and then once we hit this threshold where it like starts stopping people out, then the volume will start growing again. So keep an eye out for that. And that's actually what happened here too, like on the macro scale. So we see the volume going down, right, to a point, and then it started to grow again, because as we climbed higher and higher and higher, and we ultimately broke this new level, everyone that was shorting in here capitulated, and that pushed the price upward. So this was all this right here was a giant short squeeze, and we can see it here in the volume. So the volume is going down, and then ultimately we popped upward and squeezed everyone out of their shorts. And that's why the price looks so aggressive right there. How long have we been streaming here? I feel like I've been talking forever. Been streaming for 2 hours? My God. Okay. Let's go ahead and get off here. I feel like I'm just jabbering on. Yeah, so keep an eye out for a retest of the bottom of this trading range here. If it breaks through here, look for support along this dotted line, you know, around the mid 9K range. There's a lot of support down here. So don't imagine it just puncturing through here. We should see a bounce. If it does manage to get this low, we should see a bounce right around here. But yeah, this is looking distribution-y, if you ask me. And if you look at the 60-minute view, there's a shitload of sell volume going on here. So, you know, don't be too married to your positions. Don't be that guy that wishes you sold earlier, and don't be that guy that wishes you bought earlier. You know, be open-minded and be willing to change your view in light of new evidence. So for now, that's all I got for you guys. You know, if you want to continue this discussion with me and with my trading group, go to bitcoinschmitcoin.com and sign up and get access to the trading community there. And yeah, for now, that's all I got. And I'll probably do, I mean, given this market activity, I might do another stream later on in the week. I might not. We'll see. But yeah, you know, don't be too married to your positions, guys. That's all I can really say. If you enjoyed this video, you know, go ahead and drop a like or share it with your friends or whatever. Like, all that stuff really helps. And again, if you want to join my trading community and talk about this market together, then go to bitcoinschmitcoin.com and get signed up today. But as for that, that's all I got. And you guys have a great rest of your night.